Hello and welcome to another episode of the Zee and Zed show. My name is Zee.
And I am Zed.
And we have new printers.
New
printers. Man, when you get a new printer in 3D printing, it is quite fantastic. Because you get to experience something new, you get to try out a different brand, maybe a different type of printer, maybe going from a bed slinger to a Quartz Y. There's a lot of fun in new. So we're going to talk about the new printers we got, why we have them, and what we think about them.
Exactly. So I present to you my new baby. This was given to me by Bob, and it is the Sovol V06. It has been printing excellent, very smooth, just using the standard profile from the Imprusa slicer for the Mark III S, which I already have. It is printing everything beautifully. I changed the only thing I've done is I added to the back of it the strain relief. And I also put my Ultistik that came from Glendon, actually. My Ultistik on because the build plate that's on it is not. It leaves a little bit of a grid, and I find it really thin. And I actually almost burnt my fingers on it, so that is why. And I'm just going to show you now. I'll show you right now. In a second, I'll switch my camera and I'll show you some of the very smooth prints I'm getting from this, because I'm getting like absolutely no banding, no issues like that. So let me get my other camera up.
So that knob, the reason why it's spinning so much is because it's using a planetary reduction for the gears for the extruder, and it's actually spinning really fast. It's a really, really high gear reduction, so the actual motor spins fast. And it's a bit different than a typical like direct geared extruder.
So this is my own model I've shared before. This is the sort of pen holder vase for 3D printed flowers, whatever. I have never had such clean prints from this. And the other thing that's really interesting about this is with the co-extrusion or the dual silk filament, I have never had it be like solidly one color, and then so it's solidly gold on one side, solidly purple. This is the Sovereign, the purple gold from Polymaker. I have never had it like solid, and then for the sides, instead of like weird, like this is what I had in the past, like weird sort of banding, which is kind of cool, but it's just like a little bit of a swirl, a little bit of a band. But this is just
your
like
extruder tension on the other printer is not high enough or something that's causing it to twist.
This is gorgeous. This is and this one was just this one is the Caribbean. So again, you've got the green and the blue, and then the green blue. But I've never had it so smooth. Like I said, the only thing is when you do print on the bottom.
Oh wow! It's really intense.
You get the grid pattern, and that doesn't matter how high your Z or Z is.
I actually have a Sovol SV06 Plus, and my bed is not like that. It has like a really big grid, and
so I put the Ultistik on it for now, but it's just gorgeous. And the only other thing I did is as soon as I got it, we have fun here. As soon as I got it, I did make sure everything was lubed, because that was one of the comments that people had, is just to make sure that it's all lubed. But I built it on stream on my channel, and everything went well. I followed the directions in the book, made sure everything was good, and had it all printing within like 45 minutes or something. So it was great.
Awesome.
So thank you very much, Bob. 95336. I think that's what it is.
Yes, thank
Trying
you,
to
Bob.
remember. Anyway, Bob from California. Lower Bob.
Having two good functional printers, how much has that helped you for what you do? Because you print a lot of models. It's an
absolute sense of relief. First is knowing that the stuff that I want to print for Murph, or if I have a project going, that is always going on one printer. And then if someone says I'm testing a model, I want to see what it's like. Can you try this out? Or if I want to print something to go out the door, or I want to do it overnight on MakerDeck and I'm also testing something, having two fully functional printers is it's a godsend. It's really nice. It's very nice to have.
It is. When you're down to one printer, it's really stressful because what if that breaks? What if it breaks? What if you can't print anything? It's always good to have two printers for maintenance and just to have at capacity.
Yeah. And I also have to replace, I have had a few blobs of death on the Prusa. So I have to replace the heater cartridge and the thermistor wires. So to do that, of course, your printer's down. So I have the wires, I'm ready. And so if you're watching this in the future, it'll likely be on my Twitch channel, but on Twitch sometime tomorrow, I'll be doing I'll be doing maintenance and repair of my Prusa Mark 3S. So awesome. Gives me that comfort in knowing that, that's good. And you have you have two new printers, really, since we last met.
Sort of. So first, the Trident is complete and it is printing. I'm calling it complete because it has all the panels on and it's printing actually very well. I've been printing off some of the hot makes, block spring fire trucks. So those are really cool. And I'm actually printing out these to hand out at Murph as rewards at the Polymaker table. So for kids or adults who want these, we'll be going.
And then we have the Fix and Dude remix.
Color swaps. Oh my god. That does look really good.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So we've got the police car, which we will also call a taxi or a sedan or whatever we want to call. And then we have the ambulance. So Fix and Dude, we have put the pressure on to add a couple more of these models as remixes. They're nice. They're great. And we've been told that at Murph there's going to be lots of kids. So yeah.
Even adults, it's a fun toy. Exactly. I just like to fidget with them. And I've been printing them all off in Polymaker's new Galaxy filaments. So Galaxy ABS Purple, that's what you see printing behind me. And then I've been printing the ambulance and the police car in the ASA red and blue Galaxy. And it looks really good. And it's, the quality of the printer, it's great. It's honestly, it's as good as I would expect for a typical 3D
and speaking
printer.
of having more than one printer, I think we can sort of just segue into another thing. Gulsifer has created a model for us to share with people at Murph. This was the first version, and my feedback for this version, I think we have three versions. So for this version, my feedback was that it was a little bit, I've tried 2 and maybe 3 and 4. I don't know.
Yeah.
My feedback was that it was a little bit flimsy. And also I didn't do a full color swap on this one. Oh, he says 7. So there you go. So there was this one. So it is a phone stand. It is a nice, fully functional. I mean, this draft one is, this one is still a very nice phone stand. Oh yes. And then we widened the base. And then this one I did 3 color swaps on this one. So, where it also has the Polymaker writing and stuff. That's already up on printables if you want to print it. And we gave some good feedback to Gulsifer when he was doing it. So
it's important to have multiple printers so you can do test prints like this. One after the other, do tests. It's important to print stuff on different printers when you're testing models because some printers might be slightly less calibrated. For a functional model like this, it's extremely important that your different printers work. So this is what it looks like with the 2 color swaps.
And the other thing that I've been testing to take to Murph, since we are going to Murph representing Polymaker, is the what are these called? The spool
rings.
Polymaker
specific spool rings.
Yeah.
Developed by Polymaker for Polymaker.
Because actually, one thing that I noticed with the Sovol is that I am getting a little bit of cardboard dust, and that's something that doesn't really happen on the Prusa because the Prusa spool holder has ridges in it. So it's a different effect. That's a solid spool, so a solid spool holder. So for this one, anyway, I think it's a really cool model, and I'll be able to print up a bunch of these. So they're also really fun. But again, having two printers means I can just go one after the other on one printer, and then the other printer can be printing whatever else I'd like to print, including, of course, we've got our filament clips that we're going to be bringing with us, and in all the different colors and whatever else you want to print. So yeah, it's really nice to have two printers. My favorite use
for having two printers is doing a larger project that has multiple parts, printing some on one printer, some on another. Of course, you have to be cautious about clearances and making sure they're calibrated, but it can be a great way to split up your overall printing requirements. Just multiple printers. That's the fastest way to 3D print. Multiple printers.
And with what you do with Polymaker, you are often testing material and giving feedback and getting early access to things. So before they go out to market, so it's important that you're able to have a printer that just works.
It is, especially when there's new filaments out, and I'm one of the first ones to test it. Of course, the prints I do on it has to be, you want to share good prints, so it's important to have a pretty good printer. So, I was sent a X1 Carbon from Bambu by Polymaker in order to print some of the filament I have, specifically with an AMS. This is something that I could just not get set up reliably with my Rage Rabbit carrot feeder. I got some prints off and it worked, but it just was not reliable enough for me. I would have to do some maintenance and stuff. So instead, the X1 is able to print in multicolor ABS, which is amazing. One of the first prints I did when I got the printer was this. This is
so cool.
It's really cool. This is the one of the villages from Zelda Ocarina of Time. And can you zoom me in? What's this? So this was a little over a day print. Can you zoom in?
Yes. Sorry, just one moment.
There we go. Yeah, so look at that. Look at all the detail. There's a lot of different color swaps on the same layer. Like almost every single color has layer swap. And this was a test where I reduced my overall purge. So you can see over here, this green is not purged enough. So that was a good test that I need to do, more purge, and I can't just YOLO it. But yeah, this was done with Bambu right after I got the printer, which is kind of crazy.
And of course, if you watched, we got right into the HueForge software. And we interviewed Steve last week, so we'll put that in the description, and also it'll likely come up as a highlight. So you've been playing with that. Oh, okay. You've been doing lots of things.
Lots of things. Yeah, I just went crazy with it. Right? It's like any multicolor model you can just print, and it's like, okay, sure. So I'm just impressed, and the actual print quality of this printer is better than I expected. Everyone, they kind of had some complaints, but what all I did is slow down my external walls in the printer. So instead of printing at 200 millimeters a second, I did 100. And guess what? The prints are nearly flawless, and they're still really fast. So I'm very happy with how the MMU is working on the printer, and it's just nice to have a reliable system, especially when you're doing just regular color swaps. So this was the first HueForge print. I think I shared this last week. Yeah, we interviewed the guy. So yeah, I did this on the Bambu. Just color swaps.
Yeah.
But I was able to automate it. So I put it in, and then I say, go. And I get this nice model out. But since then, we've got busy. So do you have any new prints to share?
What else? What else do I have? Well, I did experiment with something that you sent me. It didn't quite work out, but I still made it pretty. So the hydrangea.
That's testing,
and
right?
This is,
you still need to dedicate
testing.
a printer to testing.
And thank goodness I had the I have the paint markers, so I was able to make the hydrangea even prettier. But of course, I used all different types of filaments and stuff. I just got a whole load of Polymaker filament in, so I'm going to be reorganizing my rack. But like I said, I've been printing some of my own stuff as my overnights on MakerDeck, test printing things for people. Fix Some Dude's got something out for Father's Day. I mean, there's all sorts of things going on, so we'll definitely link you to all of that in the video description.
Yeah, so
you have been working on some
recent,
beautiful
yeah,
stuff.
most recent HubeForge stuff. So these are models that I actually generated using Midjourney. Yeah. So these are all AI generated images that I converted into a printable file using HubeForge. And that's kind of what people are doing right now, is they're just taking like really specific models. It is a way of doing it that gets you these nice clean prints or models that are able to be printed. So this is one of the versions I did with the hummingbird. This is the second version I did. I wasn't completely happy with, yeah, it looks nice, but it didn't have enough contrasts. So I printed it with a darker base, and then we got this. That's kind of what I was
really
looking
nice.
for. But yeah, this is some with HubeForge, and it looks realistic. Like, you can see the fur on the hummingbird. I don't understand how that works, but yeah.
Wow, it's just it's incredible.
It's like
the detail in the eye. Yeah.
Yeah, the eye. And when you look at it really close, it doesn't look like it would.
Yeah, for people who haven't watched our video from last week yet, show the thickness of that print.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's paper thin, right?
Yeah. I think I weighed.
Like,
I think I weighed the Cameo, and it's less than. Yeah, it's like less than 14 grams of
That's
filament,
my favorite thing about these models. They're all under 20 grams, and you can get some really nice, like bigger models like this, and it's barely any filament at all. Especially with testing, because with this one, with the ones I'm developing, you go through a lot of different iterations, and it takes filament after filament after filament. So the fact that it's not MMU, you don't have these giant purge towers, and they're small prints, means that you don't have to waste a lot of filament, and they're quick to print.
Yeah, so. and I think that even the trial versions, I don't call them mistakes. If we're gonna quote Bob Ross, they're happy accidents. Yeah. They're all pretty. Things. They're all really pretty too. They're really interesting.
Those are tests.
The cool, tests are really fun.
Yeah.
So you have the Bambu. And then you also have a Trident 250.
Yeah. So I kind of wanted to compare them both because I've seen a lot of debate over, like, what do I get? Do I build a Trident or do I get a Bambu? They're both about the same build volume. They both can do the same materials, but for around the same price or slightly more, you can get an X1 Carbon with an AMS, so you have the full multicolor capabilities. This you can't just throw on a multicolor system. But
you can make it multicolor. It is a gorgeous printer. It's a really fun printer.
That's the big debate that I've been kind of thinking about. And this is more of a project. This is a hobby. You build something like a Trident or any other custom printer because you want to have fun in the hobby. And it was very fun. I enjoyed building it. I did most of it off stream because it was just fun. And it prints well for me. Single material. I understand limitations. And for me, it is just nice. But the X1, I'm going to call it sort of an unnecessary evil because it's one of those things where, no, it doesn't have the best serviceability. It's not going to... it's just going to be a lot more closed source than any other option, but it just works. It's an appliance. It should just work. And when it doesn't, you contact the manufacturer and they should help you out. But it's more of a different way of thinking about 3D printing. So having both of them allows me to do, I can do tweaking and tuning on this one and replace some of the parts. But then that one will just work.
And we have what we call our in-house designer. Our in-house designer, Kevin, he has 2 Enders, which he's tuned in. They print beautifully. But he recently got the Bambu, and he likes to do test prints. And so to be able to have something that's done in less than half the time, to be able to test that model out, and make all those adjustments and everything, I think that's also very helpful for him. So it really depends on what your budget is, what your needs are, and what your use is. Actually, on Hot Makes today, they said the best printer is a printer. I said a best printer is a printer that works, but printer that you're using. But if you are designing models or you're doing things like you're doing, then having that extra extra speed and capability is extremely useful. And actually, I have 2 old Focus printers, and Gulsifer has been in touch. So probably after Murph, we're going to look at doing a Rook, a Rook with the Focus. So we'll see what happens with that, and that might be that will be a fun project. So I'm excited to do that, because that's not something that I've really explored. But I did do the I know it wasn't that difficult, but I did put all the Sovol pieces together without any assistance. So and tomorrow I'll be doing the repairs and maintenance on the Prusa. And trust me, with that Focus, I spend a lot of time playing around and learning about the machine. So for me, who's like still on the technical aspect of things, a novice, I don't even remember what the parts names are sometimes. I use the book, I read the guides, I really do follow instructions.
It's a guide.
That's how I build my IKEA, using the instructions. That's the kind of person I am. But to know that I'm capable of doing those sorts of things, that's actually some of the beauty of this greater community too, because they make you feel capable of it. So as long as you have the tools and the all the equipment, the world is your oyster. So
I forget what I was going to say, excited. But I have a variety of printers, and they all work very differently, but they all do the same thing at the end of the day. They just print. And some of them, even though they're not faster, simple things like changing filament. If there's a printer that's easier to change filament, like the Sovols, you just have the spool on the top, you put the filament in, and that's it. You just print. I would go towards that when I'm changing out a color versus the Trident, where I have to feed in the filament all through the tube, and then it's a specific thing you have to do to get the filament in. It's not as kind of easy. There's a little more steps. And for some people, like me, that makes you not want to print as much as a printer that you can easily load stuff. Which is actually why I love the X1, because you put the filament in the AMS, it does everything. It does the purge, which, yes, it does purge a lot of filament. This is actually one of my first prints that I did on it. And it's actually Polymaker ASA. And
nice.
Yeah, it just collects. This is the job. It just collects the scraps. They're pretty. They look really pretty. But poop. It makes a lot.
Yeah.
So it's a trade-off. Like, what do I want? The easiest possible loading of filament, but then it has to waste a little bit to gain that reliability. To me, it's actually a little bit worth it. It's not that much filament at the end of the day, but it does add up. So, depends.
I do have a question for you, and this is something that's come up in the past.
Sure.
Would you recommend a Bambu as a first-time printer?
As a first-time printer... So I used to recommend Prusa's because you get the company support, you get the overall reliability of a Prusa. I'm a little torn. I hate to say it, but for me personally, my Bambu has worked pretty much flawless.
Mm-hmm.
You put in filament and hit go. You run the stock profile, it just works. Given again, the stock profile is too fast, but that's not too hard to change. But yeah, it depends on the user. In most cases, I would still recommend a Prusa because most people don't need the raw printing speeds, especially if you're getting a Mark IV. It's going to have input shaping. It has a much better extruder. It's going to be a really good printer once all the firmware is finalized, and I can very much recommend it. For the price, especially if you're trying to go for MMU, the X1 Carbon with AMS is a compelling option.
I have an opinion on this based on my experience with people coming into MakerDeck. Some of them are first-time printer users with their Bambus, and you have to still have to have an understanding of 3D printing 101. So you have to understand adhesion. You have to understand speed.
Yeah.
You have to understand all those things that we've talked about. We've had episodes about, when it comes to printing an articulated item or printing something structural. And if you don't have that basic understanding, that 101, I find that it could be a disappointment to someone. And then, it could be that you end up, there you go. You could end up having some Bambus being adopted by the Fix'em dudes of the world, which is nice
build plate
for him.
This needs glue.
Yeah.
It needs glue.
Yeah.
You need to apply glue or else your prints will not stick. And I think a lot of people just don't realize that, or even though it says, glue stick can help.
Yeah.
No one's going to read that.
But if you don't have the basic understanding of 3D printing, I would sort of caution with something like a Bambu, because you sort of have to earn your stripes in a way. And I wouldn't want to sink $1,500 into something that I have to learn. I don't know. I just have a mixed opinion on it because of that. I would, now that I'm using the Sovol and it's been going like for 3 or 4 days nonstop, definitely recommend that. Even mine, from what I know of, it was a refurb that Bob got, it's an incredible machine. I obviously would recommend a Prusa. And my first printer was a Focus, and that was an experience and a half, but I did learn 3D printing 101 from it. So it's the kind of thing where I think that it does depend on the user. But there are a lot of people that are just like, some people get into hobbies and they throw a lot into it. And I would hate for them to sink money into something like a Bambu and not realize the basics.
A lot of people they do not need the capabilities of a Bambu. The fact that you can print something fast does not mean you need to print it fast. Just because your profile says go fast does not mean you need to print it that fast. A lot of prints off of a Bambu will not be as strong as, let's say, a similarly printed part on a Prusa, because with faster movement at the same print speeds, you have less layer adhesion, so you can get a weaker part. And it's stuff you have to consider when you're actually, pushing the limits of your material.
Yeah. And that goes back to, past episodes that we've discussed, when you have a printer, all those things that you want to take into consideration, including the support and getting replacement materials and the learning curve and everything. So we can just refer, if you really want to know, you can refer back to that. So yeah. So you're pleased with it and you're enjoying it. And that's at the end of the day, that's really what's important. And it's well deserved, in my opinion. And my opinion matters the most here.
So if you're starting off with 3D printing, or if you're looking for your next printer, make sure to check out the MakerDeck Discord, where you can ask questions on what printer to get. Pop into the MakerDeck chat on Twitch. It's going, how often is it run? How often is
24/7.
24/7. Okay, so never sleeps. So there's usually someone there, and trust me, they want to talk about 3D printing. So feel free to ask any questions in either of those places. Find out what's going to work best for you. Don't just take a random recommendation. Look around, do some research. Printers are quite complicated machines, and it's easy to pick the wrong one just because it looks compelling. So, yeah, that's all I have to say is just do a little bit of research and due diligence.
So we've got a lot going on. We have I think it's like 18 days until Murph. So we will be heading off to the Midwest Rep Festival, which is in Goshen, Indiana. And as we've mentioned, we're busy printing things to bring. I've got my coasters actually going on the Prusa, my Retro Maker coasters. We're going to bring some of these Fix and Dude cards. I'm going to pack my suitcase with as many of these, these my overnight vases, as I call them now. We're going to have...
You have to do them in different sizes so they can stack inside of each other for shipping.
Well, these ones have the divider, so I'll have to do some without the dividers. Oh, and the other thing I've decided to add is, of course, Pink's hexagon stash jars. Because
nice.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is for friends, I'm going to put mini coffee crisps and little Canadian treats and stuff. So it's going to be really fun. And also anyone that participated in my charity drive that chose a Canadian care package, I'm gonna mail things out from the US to sort of save on that. So yeah, it's a lot that we have going on. So we're going to be sharing that on our streams for sure.
Yeah, follow our streams.
And on MakerDeck.
We both stream on Twitch. So my stream is at twitch.tv/zombiehedgehog. Hers is twitch.tv/Pezliz. Make sure to check us out. And of course, check out MakerDeck on Twitch, where we are seen regularly. And also socials. Check Twitter once in a while. I post a lot of updates there. It's a good way to kind of engage with the 3D printing community. Regardless if you like Twitter or not, it's kind of the place to share stuff. It's how we found
HughForge.
It is.
Yeah, so there's lots of fun discoveries on Twitter, and always come into MakerDeck chat and our streams. So
all right,
this has been a nice little episode of Zee and Zed. And
thank you to StreamYard for helping us get these going. It's so easy to set up a stream with StreamYard. It makes streaming a little bit too easy sometimes, but it's really nice that you can just stream, not have to worry about it. Everything's recorded, so we record these live on my channel on Twitch, and then we clip the section out and then put it on YouTube after.
Yes.
So,
and if you're watching on YouTube, there are usually bonuses at the end of every episode, and we usually do a live premiere when my video editor cooperates.
Yeah, right.
My video editing software, rather. I am the video editor, so I cooperate with myself. But anyway,
I don't know. I don't know.
Depends on the day. So anyway, and thanks to everyone who's watching on YouTube right now. Make sure you leave a like and also comment, because we go through the comments and we enjoy your feedback, and we'll figure out a future, what future topics to cover based on that.
Awesome. All right. Well, this has been a great show. My name is Zee.
And I am Zed. Merci beaucoup.
And goodbye.
A bientôt.
Whatever. I don't even like every single thing.
Oh, sorry.